This video is for educational overview only. Viewers are encouraged to study the topic in detail and continue their academic learning alongside this video. Thanks.
All right, let's just jump right in, because that title, it's meant to be a bit of a shock, right? Stop debugging code. I mean, for decades, that's been a huge part of being a software engineer. But the thing is, by 2026, the game is set to completely change. The very foundation of software is going through this massive shift, and the way we build, test, and even think about code, well, it could soon be something we barely recognize.
You know, this quote really nails the heart of it. For as long as many of us have been doing this, we've lived in a world of total certainty. You write code, you hit compile, and it does the exact same thing every single time. It was predictable, it was reliable, and honestly, it was pretty comforting. Well, that comfort, it's pretty much gone. It's been replaced by the wild, unpredictable world of AI.
And this table here, man, it just lays out the whole transformation perfectly. Our main logic engine isn't just our compiled code anymore. It's a massive large language model. And reliability? It's not a simple pass or fail. Now it's a statistical confidence score. And get this, finding errors isn't just about what the compiler catches before you run anything. Nope, it's happening at runtime, where we're literally scoring the AI's path of reasoning, its trajectory, to see if it's on the right track. It's a whole new ballgame.
So yeah, let's just call this what it is. This is the end of determinism. And this isn't just some tech upgrade, you know? It's a fundamental change in our entire strategy, because the old ways we measured success, they just might not cut it anymore.
For years, the whole mantra was move fast and break things, right? But think about it. A super fast pipeline that just ships unstable code, creates security nightmares, or drains your cloud budget, that's not an advantage. It is a massive liability. The new edge, the real prize, is confidence. It's knowing you can change and grow your systems without blowing up everything, or, worse, losing the trust of your users. Okay, so if the old world of predictability is gone, what are we left with? Well, this whole shift has basically created an entirely new discipline. We're now working in a completely new environment, almost like this invisible high-dimensional map of ideas inside the AI's own mind. So, welcome to the weird and wonderful world of latent space engineering.
And what on earth is latent space engineering? Well, it's not just about cramming a prompt full of facts. It's about managing the AI's vibe. Seriously, it's the art of putting the model into the right frame of mind, a state where it's confident, calm, and ready to just crush the task you gave it. You're not just a coder anymore, you're basically a vibe manager for an artificial intelligence.
And this isn't just some abstract theory. No, people are actually doing this. They're literally telling models, "I love you," to make them perform better. They're using what they call gene transfer, feeding an AI amazing code so it starts writing in that style. They're even making AI sub-agents compete for a virtual cookie to see who can do the best code review. It sounds absolutely wild, I know, but it's all about gently nudging the model's mental state. And apparently, it works.
This all leads to this really powerful new way of thinking about this. Treat the LLM like a stochastic operating system. Imagine it's a new kind of OS kernel, but one that is fundamentally unpredictable. Our job is to manage its core settings, like a parameter called temperature, which basically controls how random or creative it gets. You can crank it up for more out-there ideas, or dial it back for more stable, reliable output. We're tuning the very fabric of the AI's thought process.
So if we're managing vibes and tuning this new kind of OS, what does that even make us anymore? Well, the role of the developer is going through a huge identity crisis. We're really shifting from being just the creators of code to becoming the conductors of these incredibly intelligent systems.
I mean, your new job title might as well be Orchestrator of Chaos. Your main value isn't just about writing perfect line-by-line code anymore. It's about designing, governing, and overseeing these complex, intelligent, and yeah, sometimes chaotic systems. You're moving from the nitty-gritty details to focusing on the bigger picture of architecture and risk.
And that means our whole skill set has to level up. Prompt engineering is just a ticket to the game. We need to become masters at evaluating what comes out of these models, checking for hallucinations, biases, all of it. We have to get really good at ML ops, which is the whole life cycle of managing a model. We have to start treating AI models like any other piece of our software supply chain, which means security scans are a must. And we've got to be T-shaped, have deep expertise in one thing, but also a broad understanding of this whole new ecosystem.
Okay, enough with the high-level theory. Let's get practical. How do you actually do any of this? This next part is basically a potential playbook for 2026, a real actionable guide for engineering leaders who are trying to make sense of all this chaos.
First up, Where should you be placing your bets when it comes to languages? The consensus right now seems pretty clear. Python and TypeScript are going to give you the fastest bang for your buck for building AI products. For the really important stuff, secure, fast infrastructure, Go and Rust are pretty much non-negotiable. And of course, Java and C# aren't going anywhere. They're essential for keeping the lights on in the enterprise world.
So how do you actually start using AI without everything catching on fire? The key is you have to follow a plan. You can't just jump to the end. You start with a solid foundation. Figure out what systems you have, create clear policies. Then you can move to productivity, bringing in AI assistance. But, and this is crucial, with a human always in the loop. After that, you can carefully automate some of the low-risk stuff. And only then, maybe a year or more down the line, should you even think about shipping AI features to actual customers.
But with all this new power comes a whole lot of new risk. So what's the single biggest security threat we're looking at here?
The answer is simple. And frankly, it's terrifying. Sensitive information disclosure. It's one of the top vulnerabilities for large language models. The very AIs we're relying on can accidentally become massive, gaping data leaks. And this happens in a few really nasty ways. You've got verbatim memorization, where the model just spits out private data, passwords, personal info that it saw in its training. Then there's semantic memorization, where it'll paraphrase confidential business secrets. But the scariest one is fine-tuning leaks. That's where you train a model on your own private company data, and it accidentally exposes real customer info in a public response. It's a nightmare scenario.
So how do we stop this from happening? The solution is a new kind of safety net, AI guardrails. The best way to think about them is as the modern compiler for this new kind of software. They're not checking for syntax errors, they're enforcing rules while the AI is running to keep its unpredictable output safe. A guardrail might be a simple rule, like never ever output a number that looks like a credit card. Okay, so this brings us to a really concrete 90-day plan. In the first couple of weeks, you gotta know your risks, get an inventory. Then, over the next month, you can start a pilot with AI assistance, but with very strict controls. By the end of the quarter, your goal should be to have a formal policy and a model registry in place. This is how you start building those guardrails, step by step, safely.
All right, let's tie this all together. What is the real competitive edge in 2026? Well, it all comes down to mastering a really delicate, really crucial balance. Every single tech leader is stuck right here, in this central tension. On one side, you've got this incredible desire for AI-driven speed and innovation, but on the other, you have the absolute non-negotiable need for safety, control, and governance. And here's the thing. Pushing for one without the other is just a recipe for disaster.
And that really brings us to the main point of all this. The companies that are going to win in this new world, they're not going to be the ones with the biggest, flashiest models. They're going to be the ones who master the process, the ones who integrate AI thoughtfully, carefully, and with serious enterprise-grade governance every step of the way.
So I'll leave you with this last thought. You should treat this coming year as your one big chance to make AI safe for production. Because as we've seen, speed without control isn't just a little risky. It's a fundamental disadvantage in this new world of software. So the real question is, are you ready to stop debugging code and start orchestrating chaos?